I held the door open.
They walked through. No eye contact, no thank you. And I felt it. Irritation, not rage, not anger, just irritation. Because to me, that's basic and fundamental. Simple respect. So let me ask you something very uncomfortable. Why does something that small have the power to disturb your peace? Welcome to Articulated Illustration, where we see things from unusual angles. I'm your host, Dwayne Richardson Sr. This podcast is sponsored by me. But if you want to invest in purpose and build something beautiful together, let's make it happen. Today, we're talking about expectations, not goals, not standards, expectations, and the quiet costs they carry. Word of the day, entitlement. Entitlement is the belief that you are owed something without an agreement. It always doesn't look arrogant. Sometimes it sounds like at least you could have, or after everything I did. Entitlement is expectation without a conversation, and it's expensive. Expectations are invisible contracts. You didn't tell the person, you didn't confirm it, you did not negotiate it. You just assumed that if I do this, they'll do that. If I show respect, they'll return the respect. If I invest, they will invest back. But they never signed that contract. You did in your head. And when they don't perform according to your script, you feel disappointed, sometimes even betrayed. But they did not break a promise. They broke an assumption that you had. Small triggers. Let's keep it real. When someone doesn't say thank you after holding the door, it irritates you. When someone turns without using a signal, it irritates you. Because to you, that's basic. Now, if a stranger not saying thank you can irritate you, imagine what happens when those invisible contracts show up in relationships. Now let's talk about a bigger issue, today's dating. Some people walk into a first date with a contract in their head already. Bills covered, hair's done, babysitter paid, lifestyle finance, emotional labor secured, protection guaranteed, sex expected, provision already assumed. Before commitment, before agreement, before even understanding, before even knowing the person that is sitting across from them. And that's where the irritation comes from. Because expectation without relationships feels like entitlement. And entitlement is loud, even when nobody says it out loud. For women, some women walk in expecting dinner paid for, transportation covered, their time valued in dollars, provision proven immediately. But we have to realize that provision is not a vending machine. A man doesn't owe you husband energy on a stranger budget. Now, let's flip the shoe on the other foot. For men, some men walk in expecting access to her body, immediate submission, emotional availability, girlfriend benefits without boyfriend investment. But intimacy is not a trial subscription. A woman doesn't owe you just because you brought wings and a drink. See, the problem isn't standards. Standards are healthy. The problem is preloaded contracts. You can't demand CEO performance from someone you haven't even hired into your life. You cannot require lifetime benefits from someone you met 1 hour ago. We have to remember that dating is discovery, not debt collection. So when expectation shows up before agreement, it creates pressure. And when pressure shows up before trust, it kills potential. And then people walking away saying, check this out, men ain't this, women ain't that. No, you both walked in negotiating a marriage contract before you verified compatibility. Now, healthy dating sounds similar to this. I'm observing, I'm assessing, I'm learning. and I'm seeing if this aligns. Not you better, you should, or you owe. That's not romance, y'all. That's silent litigation. And the strongest relationships don't start with entitlement. They start with curiosity. And curiosity doesn't demand, it explores. Now, let me ask you something. Are you dating to discover, or are you dating to collect what you think you are owed? Internal code. Now, let's go deeper. When someone doesn't say thank you, it doesn't just irritate you, it violates your internal code. You operate from respect, structure, common courtesy, order. You believe in fundamentals. So when someone ignores that, it feels like a fracture in the social contract. Not because you're fragile, but because you value alignment, you value decency, and you value acknowledgement. Now, here's where maturity enters. What is basic to you may not be basic to someone else. What feels fundamental to you may be rocket science to somebody else. Not everyone was raised with your code. Not everyone was taught your standards. And not everyone sees courtesy the way you do. And that doesn't make you wrong, but it does mean this. If your emotional stability depends on strangers upholding your internal constitution, your peace becomes conditional. And conditional peace is very unstable. So the work isn't lowering your standards. It's not suppressing irritation. It's recognizing that your code is yours and strangers don't automatically subscribe to it. But don't change who you are. You change how much access random behavior has to do with your nervous system. And that's growth. Here's today's articulated illustration. You write the check. Time, energy, respect, support. Now you hand that to somebody else, assuming that they have the funds. But some people don't have the emotional balance. Some people don't have the character. Some don't have the maturity. And some don't have the level of emotional intelligence that you desire. So the check bounces. And when it bounces, you don't just lose the money, you lose trust. And then you start questioning yourself. But the lesson isn't start writing checks. The lesson is start writing checks to people who have never shown they can cash them. And start writing checks without confirming there is an agreement. Control. If someone doesn't say thank you and it ruins your mood for 20 minutes, who has control? Them or your expectation? You can maintain your standards and you can require respect in your relationships, but you cannot outsource your emotional stability to random behavior. That's way too expensive. That's like giving strangers the remote control to your nervous system. Maturity says, I won't let small behavior shake my eternal foundation. Standards versus expectation. Expectations say, I hope you act right. Standards say, if you don't act right, I adjust excess. That's different. You don't argue with strangers about courtesy. You just adjust your energy. You observe it and decide accordingly. Boundaries are not bitterness, they are wisdom. So maybe the work isn't becoming colder, and maybe the work isn't lowering your standards. Maybe the work is protecting your peace without demanding alignment from everyone. You can still hold the door, you can still use your signal, and you can still value structure. And you can still expect maturity in your relationships. Just don't let small misalignments disturb a strong internal foundation. And remember, what is basic to you may not be basic to someone else. What feels like second nature to you may be undeveloped in someone else. And once you understand that, you start reacting and you start observing. You start personalizing and you start discerning. But your code remains intact. But your peace becomes independent. And that's freedom, my friends. Well, that's it for today. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure to like and share and also subscribe and leave a review. It really helps. And always remember to do what's absolutely necessary every day. And keep the pen in your hand. Why? It's your dreams, your goals, your vision. Keep illustrating your life.